Okay, here we are. So I'm with Hannah, and you are the writer, director, or
co-writer, co-director, co-producer.
Great.
Yeah.
Of Everybody Needs Some Dead Body.
Yes, thank you.
Comedy we've just seen now. Can we have a round of applause for the film, first of all? So my first question, actually, co-writer, co-director. How does two directors work on set? I always like this question.
So this was, it's kind of interesting. This is our graduation film. So this is our first film we ever did. This is our first time ever co-directing, really. And I think it was just a result of COVID, really. I mean, we were in the same program, we were housemates, we date, like, it's the same stuff. So everything that we did with this film, we were already aligned. We already knew exactly what we wanted to do scene for scene since we wrote it together and planned everything out. So when it came down to directing, George oftentimes kind of took first initiative and then directed this, but if he needed to step out or anything, I could just kind of step into his shoes and we were able to go from there because we knew exactly what we wanted. There's no questions.
Okay. Does that have its own challenges? Do you have any point of conflict at any point? You think, well, I'll actually, I'll do it like this, and you think, no.
I think a lot of the conflict kind of came when we were writing it because that's when we were deciding it. One of the things I remember us disagreeing on was the bit where Tracy takes Nigel up to go have a threesome.
Yep.
And I just could not fathom how she could go downstairs and just kind of yank him upstairs and pull him up to go do that. Right. And we talked about it and we even had to just kind of act it out ourselves to see like how would it work? But I think it does work in the end. I get that she's, we were able to kind of figure out what she wanted to do and direct the scene that way. So I think it came more in the planning, the, things that we didn't quite agree on and then finding what worked for us altogether.
When did the germ of the idea start? What was that first? Because it's a great concept for a film, it really is. What was the first thing that came to you?
Again, it goes to lockdown. There's not much that we could do other than take walks once a day for an hour of exercise if we were allowed. And George just kind of turned to me and he's like, what would happen if your spouse died and then you got together with someone else and then they came back? And we're like, what would happen? So then we wrote this.
Okay. How long did it take to write it?
To be honest, we probably went somewhere. It started very, very differently. It was originally kind of based around a game show, and then it morphed into this. And I think we probably went at least 20 drafts, maybe 30, to be honest. It took a really long time to write, but it was because we wanted to be certain how we wanted to do it, and kind of building the world within it that it's set in as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said the word set. Let's talk about locations. What was your location? Where did you use? How did you use it? And how long did it take to shoot?
So we filmed all of this in Orpington. George was raised in Dartford, so we kind of wanted to do something within that area. And finding the location we did in Orpington was perfect because the park was over there. The only thing that we didn't shoot there was the doctor scene because we shot that in a green room. So yeah, that was. What was the rest of your question?
How long did it take? How many days?
We shot it. We had 3 days in the house, and then 1 day that we shot the doctor bit.
Okay. And post-production, then, how long did that take?
Months. It took a really long time because this was our graduation project. We had to kind of get a rough version of it together to graduate, and then we spent the actual time to do the post-production. So we filmed this about almost exactly a year ago, and then from then until November we were working on post-production, and yeah, that's it.
So is it funded by, where were you studying?
Regent's University, London.
Okay, and they raised the money for it?
We raised the money for it.
Money, so.
A lot of it, I mean, George is English and I'm American. I live here though, and because
That's okay. You don't have to justify yourself.
Well, it was
very welcome.
Thank you. It was because we got we got money from COVID for not being able to work, and that was the thing that was able to kind of finance this project. If it wasn't for COVID, this wouldn't have happened, which is weird to say, but I think it's very true. We raised some of it through crowdfunding, and the university gave us a very small budget, but to be able to use them for the camera equipment, of course, and using the place to shoot the Doctor stuff. We filmed it at our university. That was really helpful as well.
Okay. So this, as with all comedies, I think lives and dies by the performances of the cast and how they deliver those lines and that kind of stuff. How did you cast the film?
So casting was a bit of a long process because we had a very clear idea about the characters and who they were, and we wanted to make sure that the cast could work together, but we had to cast it through Zoom, so it was difficult to be able to kind of gauge that. I think with Nicola Wright, who played Tracy, we got a lot of people who auditioned for Tracy, and with hers, she read the script and sent in a self-tape within like 10-15 minutes and stuff. We watched her stuff and we realized, oh, she's Tracy. There's no one else that's Tracy. And David McSweeney, who plays Frank, we saw him on Star Now, and before we even watched anything he did, we saw one picture of him and thought, oh my goodness, he's he's Frank. And he's the most wonderful person. We really love him.
Great. Yeah. I mean, all three are brilliant, and they all work so perfectly because it's a hard sell as an idea almost. It's kind of when I saw it, I thought it's Odd Couple plus one,
Yeah.
isn't it? And all three of them have got to work together, otherwise the whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they are all fantastic. Was there any improvisation? Did you allow them to improvise on set?
So when they're playing their football outside, we knew that we wanted Tracy to be kind of upset that she was left out, and then the boys to kind of have some bonding time. But that was improv. And then the song that they sing is they're drunk coming up the stairs. We were a bit worried about copyright, and so we're like, you need to make something up. So they made something up, and we through our takes we had about 8 different songs they made up on the spot. But this one worked out for us.
Amazing. So at this point, has anyone got a question from the audience?
If you could work with any dead actor for 24 hours, who would you work with and why?
Ingrid Bergman, because she's the best actress ever. I know she's not a comedic actress, but oh my goodness, she was so incredible.
First of all, congratulations. I find it unbelievable that was your first film and you're coming out of training to do something of that quality. It was beguilingly simple, beautifully stylised, and utterly enchanting. So I'm quite interested. The fact that you did 25 or 30 drafts on the script, you see that because there's a depth and a seamlessness about the way everything rubs. But that you've got loads of time to do that. So that's something you can do with this script. What I'm interested to know is what you did with the actors to get them to have such a seamless performance, because you don't have that much time. Did you rehearse? How did you rehearse? How much? And what did you do? Because that, yeah.
The thing was, it was an extremely stressful shoot. The location we wanted, we needed that house because it was so perfect, and we knew we only had a very limited amount of time. We would have liked one more day of shooting to be able to do stuff. So the key was really casting people who could be those characters more than what we could even direct them, so that we could have the trust with our actors to do that. We only had one day where we actually sat through together and read it all, me and George and the actors. And when shooting, we only had like one time when we would block every scene beforehand, because Jackie, who's our cinematographer, she prefers it that way, which I think really helped, just because the actors have more time to kind of feel it. I think to be able to get the performances you want, it's finding the people who can deliver them, and I really just have to give it to our actors for doing such phenomenal jobs, being the characters we wanted them to be.
Awesome. Roughly how many takes each shot?
Some like the when she hits them with the frying pan, that one I remember. It was about 1 a.m, and everybody was meant to go home, and so we had to ask, please, can we, are you guys okay with just staying until the scene was all right? And everybody, cast and crew, were like, yep, let's do this. Because some of the takes, we could honestly just get them in 1 or 2 takes because the performances were just there, and some of them that required more choreography and blocking and stuff, it was a bit longer. We just needed to kind of work on that. I think anything requires at least 3 takes, but then sometimes if it's just not there, you have to go more.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I like it.
just want to hold the mic, to be honest. I can't offer any critique, to be honest, not as eloquently as Alex, but I just want to say I really enjoyed it. I love off-the-wall Beckett comedies, and like I said, the way the three interacted was really believable in a weird, I don't know how it was, you had a dead body there talking, but, and I love the fact that he kind of morphed into him, ended up wearing the same theatre tracksuit, and he's just becoming the same person. I just really enjoyed it, that's what I wanted to say, so well done, yeah, it's really good.
Thank you so much.
Did you have any influences, I was going to ask, so either filmmakers or films?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. We love Jim Hosking. We love, we watch stuff like, we had to watch Mike Leigh, of course. We had to watch Nuts and May to be able to kind of get the base for something like this. And then we went on like Riley Stern, even some like Janixa Bravo or whatever. There's so many wonderful people that we got. We just wanted to find a way to like, George, he, growing up in like working class Dartford and everything, he wanted to be able to bring that to it, like the stuff that he knew. And I grew up in a very suburban, weird place in Northern California that I won't get into, but it's to be able to kind of find that and tie it together. Even though we grew up in different places in the world, we realized that we were watching the same stuff growing up. We both watched Pushing Daisies. We both listened to the same music and were interested in the same photography and stuff, and we just kind of tied it together there. And I think the thing that we found with this being our first one, now it is, we know what we like. We know the style and everything, and going forward, the films that we'll continue to make together, I think it's just going to be this, but quite more amplified going forward.
So, going forward, what's next?
We have a few projects that we're working on right now. We're at different stages of them. We definitely like dark comedy. We definitely like creating this world where you can't quite timestamp it, and it's set in suburban England, but you don't quite know where. And kind of, you know, building that out. We would like to see more other than just inside someone's house in a park. We want to explore other, you know, little nooks in this world and build it further. I think it was really lovely being able to come to Romford for this, especially because being here, as George and I were walking, you know, down the high street and everything, he's like, "Oh, this is like Dartford. This reminds me of that." It's wonderful. I think it was quite nostalgic for him, and I think taking stuff like that and being able to blossom it out and make it all weird and surreal, that's what we want to do.
So Hannah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the film. Thank you very much.
Thank you.